I feel like a lot of people with eating disorders go vegan as a way to like restrict themselves even more and like, oh, I can't eat that, I'm vegan. And like, or if they're going out with friends and stuff. But for me, it made food feel safe again in a way where I was like, I can eat pizza again because it's vegan, or I'm allowed to eat this thing because it's vegan.
Yeah.
So it really helped me. It helped me put on weight, and it helped me like, help food feel safe again.
Hey y'all, welcome back to Made It Out. Today I'm here with Zolita, singer-songwriter, film director. She blazes trails in the lesbian community. And we're talking about diet and disordered eating. Fun stuff.
Very fun. Extremely fun topic.
Let's start with, when do you think you became aware of your body in comparison to other people's bodies?
I feel like probably around like 7, 8. I just remember wearing like little 2-piece bikinis and just looking at myself next to my best friend was just like really like fine boned and just very naturally thin. Yeah. And just like noticing my gut hanging out. Just that is the clearest memory that I have of like first being aware of my body.
So young.
Yeah.
Where do you think, were you hearing things in your family and in your home?
Yeah, definitely. I think hearing the way that your mom talks about herself, and like she wouldn't even necessarily say stuff to me about my body when I was that young, but just like seeing the way that she pinched herself in the mirror, or the way that she talked about her own body, or the way that she would eat, definitely like, had a huge effect.
Totally.
On me.
And also, like, I think Matilda and I were talking about this, like 90s, it was like you were watching The OC and like 90s diet culture. Just, you were seeing all these, what was it? Heroin chic.
The heroin chic. Oh my God. Yeah. I feel like that was a huge thing for me. Like when I got super obsessed with just like high fashion and I would go to Barnes and Noble and like look at the magazines, like the Vogue, French Vogue and ID, and like would like pour over those magazines and was so inspired like visually, but also the way that the girls' bodies were had a huge impact on me. And I was like, I remember like when I started getting boobs, I was like, no, like that's not like, I want to be like the heroin chic look. And also my mom worked in fashion. That's whole nother thing. Yeah, she was a designer. So that is like the body type that she thinks is, that is the body type you need to be in the industry. And yeah, she did some bad things. She'd like put sticky notes on stuff in the fridge. That was like, stay strong.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, but I love her so much. She's apologized for a lot. And she's
Our parents are just doing the best they can.
It's their first time here. It's their first time here too.
Yeah.
And she struggled with so much too. Her mom was not great to her. And yeah, I feel like that definitely had an impact.
When did you first start to actually struggle with disordered eating yourself?
I think like freshman year of high school. I was in the pony club. And I feel like
what is Pony Club?
The Pony Club, it was like a horse. It was like a barn.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So I was a horseback rider and just like it was like the Saddle Club. Do you remember that TV show?
No.
Oh, it was iconic. So amazing. But I think just anywhere where there's like a big group of girls that are around each other all the time at that age, that's where, I don't know, things start to fester. But yeah, I remember having a best friend whose mom was very like up on diet culture. My mom was never like on diets. She just like didn't eat that much.
Right.
But yeah, that was when I was first introduced to like, I forgot what it was, like a book, like diet books, like different kinds of diet books that had like meal plans and stuff. And so freshman year was the first time where I was like, okay, I'm going on a fat-free diet. Like, I feel like at that time, fat was like the big
no.
the big no. So yeah, I went on a fat-free diet. Definitely tried a few different kinds of diets, but I think the time when I noticed it actually becoming like really disordered eating was sophomore year was when, I feel like that's when like my anorexia started.
Was it like a slippery slope from dieting just kind of into not eating? Or did you know what anorexia was? Like, was it a conscious thing?
I don't think it definitely wasn't a conscious thing. I think it was a slippery slope. And then once I started to realize that it was like a mental, like it was, really fucking with me mentally, I don't know what, I remember reading a book called like Winter Girls that was about anorexia. And then like, I feel like I got on Tumblr, and then there was a lot of like pro Anna stuff on there that I fell into. And then once I feel like are struggling with disordered eating, you find the other people that are as well. And it's so easy to recognize. And I became really close with 2 of the other girls in my high school that were super anorexic. And then we would like all go to lunches together, but like share a soup, you know?
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And just like encourage each other. And once I started noticing that the dieting was working, or that I was like losing weight and like getting compliments for that, and like feeling valuable for that, then I feel like it just started getting worse and worse.
That's like a big thing that I feel like not enough people talk about, is even when you comment on someone's weight and you say, oh my God, you've lost so much weight, you look so good. Like that's
God, it's
doing
so bad.
Yeah, the messaging that's sending is not it's not what you think it is.
Yeah.
You're doing more harm than you're doing good.
Yeah, completely.
So that kind of put you even deeper into this.
Yes.
And what are some of the ways that it heavily affected your life?
I feel like it just took up so much brain space. I had such like specific phases in high school, and my junior year was like, I was just so in the throes of my eating disorder that I just like kind of isolated myself and like retreated from everybody. And like, yeah, I just became like so much more lonely. And then it also like health wise, and it got to a point where like I had a heart problem, and the doctor was like, oh, you're like at a really high risk for heart arrhythmia because of the way that you're treating your body.
Jesus.
And yeah, so when I was like, oh, I'm like hurting my body in such a big way. Also, I stunted my growth for sure. Like my family's so tall. My brother's 6'8", my sister's 5'10", my mom's 6'1", and I am so short.
Oh, wow.
I'm not so short, but I definitely like stunted my growth a bit. I think when I realized that I was like, yeah, like really hurting my body, I feel like that was a rock bottom.
Doing like permanent damage.
Yeah.
You don't think about those things.
Yeah. This is actually interesting. When we were talking about this last week, I was on my way to go see my dad. And me and my dad haven't talked about it in a really long time, but randomly the eating disorder came up at dinner.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And he was like, yeah, you know, like that your mom, like, you know how she read your journals when you had your eating disorder. First of all the women at the table were like, what were those air quotes? He was like, no, I don't know how you experienced it. Like if that's how you felt about it. Like, yeah, that's how I felt about it. It was an eating disorder. But I had no idea my mom read my journals until literally last week. But that's how she knew to like get me help. But
wow.
Yeah. And my dad was like, well, I would never cross that boundary. I would never read your journals. But it was like kind of good that she did, because I feel like it takes also a woman who's struggled, just like women in general, that have had body image issues to obviously see it in your daughter. And it's life-threatening.
Yeah.
And I think that it was okay for her to cross that boundary at that point, you know. But that's when I guess she read my journals and then set me up with a therapist and doctors and stuff like that. But
what was in the journals about the eating disorder? Like, were you aware of it?
Oh my God. Yeah. Just like every day, like writing, keeping super track of everything that I was eating and how I was working out and calories, and just talking about my body and like feeling like, oh, like I was like, or I was so bad today, I feel terrible, I ate this thing, or I was like so good today, I feel euphoric. Just like, yeah, it's when I look back, also like recipes, pictures of food, like just food obsession. Which I feel like is so common. You know, I was like at that time also became a really good chef. Which, you know, so grateful for that, because now I'm cooking all the time. But I just became so food obsessed, but I didn't want to eat it. So I was like, would cook these lavish meals for all my friends, and just
to be around
food. Yeah.
Wow.
Just to get to be around food.
Wow. that's so heartbreaking.
Yeah.
I mean, I I guess still with binge eating, and it is just like, so you do not think about anything else. There are times in my life where I would be eating my first meal thinking about what I was going to eat next and what I was going to eat after. Like, it's a little bit opposite of the problem, but that food obsession is still there.
It literally takes up all your time.
Yeah.
It's so crazy.
And it is isolating because you're not thinking about doing anything else.
Yeah.
You're like,
and when you're sitting with a friend, eat it. You can't just share a meal with somebody. You're like stressed about the food the entire time.
Yes, totally.
Yeah. When did you start? struggling.
Really young. Like I was a kid that would go,
Yeah.
and my mom never really she never made comments to us or anything, but it was the same thing where I just watched her and how she was with food. And she would make us really big meals, but then she wouldn't really eat. She would kind of push the food around her plate and stuff like that. And so I think it was just this like shame around food or like shame around eating.
Yeah.
And so I was the kid that would like go to the pantry when everyone was asleep and eat food when everybody was sleeping. And then that just turned into, on a larger scale, like binging and restricting. So like, you go and you eat a fuck ton of food because you're like, this is the last time I'm ever going to eat junk food in my entire life. And then I'm never going to eat it again.
Yeah.
And then you restrict and you only eat boiled chicken for 2 weeks. And then you're like, okay, now I got to binge again. It's just this like yo-yo kind of diet. So different problems, but rooted in the same shit, I guess.
No, completely. Yeah.
How was being gay and the eating disorder?
Yeah.
How did that correlate?
It's been interesting to look back and be like, oh, like that, the time when my anorexia was the worst was when I was 16. And that's when I realized that I was gay and was like closeted. And I feel like it was a way to like have some sense of control in my life. Food was something that was an easy place to like put all my control onto. I feel like eating disorders a lot of the time are about control and wanting a sense of control over, if I can control what's going in my mouth, like if I can control my weight and control my body, then I can like feel accomplished or feel a sense of power over myself. At a time when I didn't feel, in control.
Yeah. So when you came out, do you think that started to relieve some of that need?
Yeah, definitely. When I came out, and maybe also, I came out right when I went to college. I was alone in New York, and like I was also just walking so much. So I feel like just that activity, the activity in my life, and then also just getting to be creating my own. Like I wasn't eating with my family anymore. I was getting to create my own meal plans or whatever. Like I was cooking for myself. I had a kitchen, which was nice. I feel like that around the time when I came out, definitely, I feel like I was starting to heal for sure. But also dating women, like there's definitely ways that it triggers it, but I think that there's ways that it also healed me a bit, because I think I love all kinds of body types. Like I have been with so many different kinds of bodies, and it doesn't make me like I'm attracted to so many different kinds of people. So I think knowing that, I'm like, wait, like why would I be judging myself for that thing when I'm like, I've never thought about judging a girl for that thing. And I love that thing about her. Yeah. So I think that that's also helped.
Yeah. I think women are so much more forgiving of each other's bodies. So when you start to be with women, you realize like you're not doing that like scan and like, oh, well, I don't like your hips or I don't like your arms or that's not what you're doing. So you realize, well, she's not doing that to me.
Yes, exactly. I feel like it's like I have a young family friend who got like a labiaplasty like Christ. When she was pretty young, and because just being drilled in her head, like boys don't like this. I feel like women are just so much more, I don't know, like celebratory of each other's bodies and more forgiving.
Completely.
But on the flip side, and the other thing is if, most women have experienced some sort of disordered eating. So it can, I think, come up. You can like trigger each other if one person is like experiencing it. Which that's happened to me in relationships too, where especially if it's like I've dated, one of my partners was like just as femme as me and had pretty similar body type to me. And I definitely noticed us like looking at each other when we were, what we were eating and like clocking each other. And and if like she put on some of my clothes and it looked better on her, I was like, oh, like, fuck, like what the hell? Like I can never wear that again now. Just that.
There's an element of comparison.
Yeah, element of comparison.
That's very easy to fall into.
That's just so drilled into us, just as a woman living in this, society.
Yeah, like instead of being like, "You're so hot, I love you." Yeah, you're like, "Why don't I fucking?" It's like,
why
that?
am I not as hot as that? Yeah, that's just like because we grew up in this culture of comparison,
right?
So it's healing dating women, but also sometimes can be triggering.
Yes,
both.
You have to be triggered to be healed, right?
Yeah, exactly.
We're doing something right. What else were the big things on your journey to recovery?
I would say like towards senior year, I went vegan. And my recovery process, I think, started around then, because I feel like a lot of people with eating disorders go vegan as a way to like restrict themselves even more and like, oh, I can't eat that, I'm vegan. And like, or if they're going out with friends and stuff. But for me, it made food feel safe again in a way where I was like, oh, I can eat pizza again because it's vegan, or I'm allowed to eat this thing because it's vegan.
Yeah.
So it really helped me. It helped me put on weight, and it helped me help food feel safe again, for sure.
I have the same exact story,
Really?
and nobody had ever pointed that out to me until Mathilde.
Yeah.
It's funny because I had really bad binge eating until I came out.
Yeah.
And I felt like, oh wow, like it almost like was a veil was lifted or something. I don't know what happened, but all of a sudden I just didn't have that impulse as much. It was still there. It just wasn't as strong and as heavy. And I felt this really strong calling to go vegan. I mean, it was because of the animals, but I also think there is this like subconscious thing of like the control and the restricted diet, I guess. But it was the same way. It was like, oh, as long as it's vegan, it's healthy.
I can have it. Yes, exactly.
Fine.
Even if it's not, but it's still like, it's helpful.
I was eating the most processed food when I was vegan. It was like vegan chicken and vegan burgers and vegan pizza. Yeah. But it was like, oh, this is fine. I'm healthy.
Yeah.
And I dropped 40 pounds when all of this happened, when I went vegan. Yeah. I used to be a lot heavier.
Yeah.
And I think it was just because I was like consistent.
Yeah.
I wasn't so focused on binging and restricting. It was like, I don't know. I can't explain it, but I do feel like being vegan was the thing that got me out. Yeah. Pulled me out. And I never thought it was a bad thing until when Mathilde brought it up, and she was like, yeah, I think a lot of people with eating disorders use being vegan as a control mechanism. And so now I'm in this like kind of era of trying to be just eat whatever. Yeah.
Whatever your body like feels like it wants.
And be okay with that.
Yes.
And I find that to be hard.
Really?
I feel
to not have a restriction.
I feel like
feels
a little
the
bit
hardest about it.
Because there's nothing keeping me
in check or in line or whatever.
On a diet. Yeah. There's nothing keeping me in line. It's just like, if I want to go eat a pizza. Yeah. I can go eat a pizza, but then I feel really guilty about eating the pizza. I guess it's the guilt. Maybe that's the answer. Yeah. Is I still
it's easier to live within a box. It's like the free reign of like, I can do anything, eat anything I want. Oh my God, that's so scary.
It's terrifying. Yeah. And it feels like this could get out of control again.
It could get out of hand. Yes. Oh my God. Yeah.
So that's interesting.
Yeah.
That we share that.
But also a big thing on my journey to recovery was Kundalini yoga, which
love it.
Now I'm not in anymore and is kind of a cult a bit. There were so many beautiful things about it that I miss it a lot, to be honest. But I think when I started doing Kundalini, there are so many obviously just doing yoga and like exercising your body, and then also the meditation aspect of that. That was the first time where I was like, oh my God, like I love my body so much. It's going to carry me through the rest of my life. Like, how could I be doing what I've been doing to it? That's crazy. Like, I need to take care of it and like honor it. And like, it's so beautiful no matter what, like, what stage it's in. And also I think I realized just like, I'm going to fluctuate throughout my life. Like, okay, today I don't feel good. And maybe I have a little bit of dysmorphia, and maybe I'm looking in the mirror and I'm not loving myself in my clothes, but tomorrow it'll be different, or in a month it's going to be really different. Like, it's always just, it's going to be different all the time. And I think, I feel like I attribute a lot of that too. And just the starting to like really love my body to yoga. Yeah.
I have a very similar story. I became a yoga teacher. Wow. I became so obsessed with yoga. It's a forced presence. Yes. It makes you become aware of your body. And I think like, I felt so disconnected from my body for a really long time, not only because I was closeted, but also with this eating disorder. I think I hated my body. I had no reason to love it. And I think when you do start doing something that makes you become so present and so aware, it gives you a lot more empathy and grace and love for yourself. So that makes total.
Why have I been hating this? It feels like this thing that's outside of yourself that you're hating, and that you're like punishing all the time. And to finally be present with it and love it. Yeah,
it's like coming home and coming back into your body. So that makes complete sense to me that was part of your journey.
Yeah.
And what about, did you do any therapy?
Yes. I will say the therapist that I first had when I was 16 was terrible. I remember it was probably good regardless that I was talking to somebody. But yeah, not all people should be therapists. She was like, I remember when I would talk about my body or something, I would like walk out, I would leave and be like, you look so skinny. You look so good. Like, yes.
Oh God.
Yeah. I'm like, that
probably didn't help in the time.
A 16-year-old with an eating disorder. Like, what?
Oh my God. See, again, that's the time we grew up in, like the time she grew up in. Like,
I literally think, yeah, exactly. And she was super, she was just not the right person to be giving me advice, I think. But later on in life, I started doing therapy with the therapist I chose that I really love, who is also gay and works with a lot of artists. And I love that she doesn't let me forget that I struggle with these, it's always been a part of me. And sometimes it feels like, like that's not relevant anymore, but it is always still relevant. And she does do a good job of like tying it back in and bringing it up and just being like, want to check on how you're doing there and how that's affecting, how is this thing affecting your eating? Like, how is this thing affecting the way you're seeing your body right now? It's good too, because sometimes I forget. And sometimes I'm like, oh yeah, that thing is a little bit disordered still. Or
I mean, I think when you're not in the throes or like as bad as things were, it's easy to be like, I'm healed. Yeah. I'm fine now. Like, remember when I was, stuffing wrappers in my nightstand and like that, and it's not like that anymore. I'm fine. Yeah. But it's like, it's kind of something that's always going to be there.
Yeah. No, that's so true. When you're not in the like, oh my God, like in the complete throes of anorexia where it's like taking up every single, like all the space in my mind and like not being able to do anything without thinking about it. Then you're like, oh, I'm great.
Right.
But there's still so many times where I'm like, oh, well, that is a little bit, that's disordered. But I just,
like the moments where you take a pause before eating something because you're calculating or you're, I mean, those things still happen to me.
There's the shame around eating certain foods and the guilt that you feel afterwards. Yeah. Or feeling like, I feel like one that recently came up for me, which going through a breakup when you like, have the few weeks where you're like, I can't eat because I am so depressed, so sad. And just like, and then you're like, oh wait, this is awesome. Like you feel powerful. You're like, oh my God, I'm not hungry. Wow. I feel so powerful.
That's always the best parts about a breakup for me. Yeah. Like I'm about to get so fucking skinny.
Yes. And then you're like, and then I started like weighing myself again. And I was like, oh, I like that number. That's not, like I don't have a scale in my house, but like I go to a gym now that has a scale and I'm like, oh, like that number's going down. Like that's fun. Like I'm going to keep watching it go down. And it's so easy to fall back into that little trap again.
I was literally going to ask if you have a scale in your house. Cause I won't step on a scale.
Yeah, I can't. Even at the doctor's office, I like close. I don't look. Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like that
makes me upset.
Triggering. You're going to go. Yeah. It's going to send me down a fucking spiral. I don't need to know.
Yeah. Also, I'm like, oh my God, I can't see it with my shoes on. No. Oh, my clothes? No.
Let me just get naked. Just give me a
fully naked. Don't let me take my earrings off. My hair adds 2 pounds. So fucked. Oh God.
In what other ways do you still find it showing up in your life? We kind of touched on this.
But. Yeah. I think obviously being a singer, being in the entertainment industry and being in front of the camera all the time, like that's where I see it come up a lot before I have like big shoots or like before I go on tour, have performances. I feel like this has gotten so much better with time, but, especially in the beginning, I found myself like, before a music video, instead of like just eating, like just like living a healthy lifestyle, I'd be like, well, it's just so much easier for me to just not eat for 4 days. So that's what I'm going to do. And like leaning on Adderall and like I had a little bit of an Adderall problem in college. Just like really restricting and then feeling like, and then it would work, and then I would look great for the video. And then the minute I got off the video, I'd like eat a burger. It's like the classic. Yeah, I feel like you hear that so much.
But how do you get over that? Because I do feel that too, being on camera a lot. And what are the ways that you overcome that?
I feel like I just feel so grateful. I feel like I've come to like an equilibrium in my life of like I've found a really nice balance of physical activity that like doesn't feel like it's for the purpose of like losing weight. And then cooking, like I cook a lot. And just, I feel like I don't know. I eat what I want to eat. And maybe because I eat, I'm like allow myself to have whatever I want. I'm not like, I have a really nice balance, I think, with my eating and with my physical activity. So I feel like,
the physical activity is a good point
It's
because I
huge.
think that working out was also another thing for me. I hate running. I hate all that stuff.
Like the classic going to the gym, I was just like, that's not, and looking at the calories on the treadmill and being like, I got to get to a certain, then you could, I definitely, when I first started working out, it was a big part of the control thing too, of being like, well, I can't leave until I hit this amount of calories and do these amount of things. And I have to do 20 things of this. And like, and
then you're thinking in your mind, well, fuck, would I rather run this 6 miles or just not eat the bagel?
Yes.
I would just rather not eat the bagel because I fucking hate running.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I think when I started doing classes, that was a big one. If you're not seeing any calorie number, I have no idea what I'm burning, but I'm doing something that feels really good. I'm getting endorphins and I'm doing it with other people.
Yeah.
That feels really nice. And finding stuff, it's just like everybody likes something different. I don't know. Like I tried a cycling class and oh my God, that was the worst thing of my life. What? Love to everybody who loves that, but not for me. But line dancing.
Yeah.
Oh my God, I'm obsessed. It's so much fun. And it's I go queer line dancing, and it's just to get to like dance for 4 hours with a bunch of other queer people and like be in sync with everybody. And it's the craziest part. Like I am like so out of breath and like so sweaty, but you're not realizing because it's just like the most joyful activity.
Yeah.
I think just finding things, like just like walking with friends, going on walks.
Yeah.
Like finding things that you like that aren't centered around like losing weight. I think that I've just, it's helped me come to a place where I'm like not thinking about my body and what I eat as much. What about you?
I one day unfollowed so many fucking accounts. I unfollowed everybody that I found myself heavily comparing myself to. A lot of just blonde girls who were in the gym all the time that I was following that I just got rid of because it wasn't doing anything good for me. And like realistically, unless I just think we compare our bodies and it's so dumb because I could never look like that. There's just, I'm never going to be 6 foot tall and these bitches are 6 foot tall. Why am I like striving or looking at this girl like this is someone I want to be when it's physically impossible? And so I think unfollowing a lot of those accounts that you're literally only doing, like the inspo accounts, unfollow that shit. Get rid of it. Because I think once that's gone, it's like clearing space. You clear up space. You're not really thinking. I follow a lot of body positivity accounts and things like that to where when I'm thinking, oh, I don't look good on the camera, I'm like, yeah, but all these other people put themselves out there in front of the camera and they're proud and they, love themselves. And I would rather be like that.
Like that. Yes, completely.
So that was a big thing that helped me, I think.
That's huge. Yeah.
What advice would you have for someone who is struggling with disordered eating?
I think find a safe friend that you can talk to about things. Like don't isolate yourself. Don't keep everything in. I think the thing that I didn't talk about that was so helpful for me was I think at that time, most people, their response is just like, oh my God, you're so skinny. Eat a burger. Eat this cookie. Come on, just eat it. And I had my best friend who makes all the clothes I'm wearing actually.
Oh, wow.
She was like my sister, and she would be like, don't worry, like I'm gonna make you like tofu and vegetables when we go home. Like she's like, no, you don't have to eat that. Like I'll make you this. Like she like would help. I don't know. She like made sure I ate, but like made sure they were like safe foods and was like very gentle with me and just like created a space where I, felt safe to talk to her about things that I was going through and I wasn't feeling judged.
Yeah.
So finding identifying like a safe person, which I've always said that about like advice for coming out too. It's like identify a safe person in your life that you feel like you can open up to and like you don't have to hide from. And then, like you were made for so much more than just like spending and wasting all your energy on thinking about food.
Yeah.
Like, oh my God, think about all the amazing things that you are going to do with your life. Why are you spending all that time on that thing? It's such a waste of time.
Yeah.
that helped me a lot too. I was like, oh my God, I want to be a filmmaker. I want to be this musician. I want to do all these amazing things, but I'm spending literally so much of my day thinking about something that so doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Why am I doing that? I think when I would think about that, that was helpful for me as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's great advice.
Yeah.
And unfollow the accounts.
Unfollow the accounts and meditate.
And meditate.
Yeah.
Presence.
Be present. Yeah.
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 All right. I know this has felt like an hour of therapy. I love it. But now I want you to tell me, what are you working on in therapy?
What am I working on in therapy? I am working on not falling back into my anxious attachment, because I feel like I became more secure in my last relationship, which was really lovely. And
through that relationship?
Yeah. Yeah. I think, that relationship definitely made me have a more secure attachment, because she kind of had a secure attachment with me, and we just were able to communicate with each other in such a nice way. So knowing that that's the parameter, like that's what I have to strive for, Yeah. Like I'm not going to lean back into my anxious attachment, because it's easy to do that.
Mm-hmm. How do you not do that?
I think like especially with like texting, right? It's like, oh, like the anxiety about like someone like texting you back or something like that. Remembering like if I'm being myself, that's not going to turn the right person off. So I just need to like be open and honest and be myself.
Yeah.
Like me filtering myself and like texting different or doing something I think is going to pull them in. Like they're not the right person if I'm not being myself.
That's so true. Like a double text is not going to scare the right person away.
Yes. If they are into you, double text is not going to scare them away.
Triple text, quadruple text.
Yeah.
I'm blowing your shit up.
Yeah. So I think that's been helpful. And then lastly, going through a breakup, like feeling all of the emotions as they come, and like being like, okay, if I'm having a better week and I'm like, oh, I'm feeling great, like I can lean into that. But if I'm like, something comes up, like really let myself feel it instead of like trying to shy away from it.
Yeah.
Like a good example of that is like, there's a song that's going viral on TikTok right now that like was one of our songs. And so, I'll usually skip past it, but then there's a few times where I'm like, no, I'm going to let myself listen to it this time. And I'm going to let myself cry about it.
Yeah.
Just like when they come, like really feeling the emotions, because that's how you heal past something, you got to feel it all.
Let it happen.
Yeah.
The more you suppress it, you're just pushing off and the bigger it's all going to become. So I love that.
Yeah.
Great work.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right. You haul or you ghost?
Yes.
Her walls are black and pink.
You know what? I'm going to say U-Haul because I had such a black and pink era. That was my last era was black and pink. So I think I would appreciate someone like leaning into that hard.
Like really just
I love when someone leans into an aesthetic.
Yeah.
And like really owns it. So I'm going to U-Haul.
Wow. I think I would definitely you ghost. I can't handle that. I'm such a visual person. Like things like that bother me. I would be like, I'm sorry, this can't go any further.
I feel like it would make me feel like I was back in high school in a fun way.
Ooh, not fun. I didn't like high school that much.
I loved high school.
Oh my God.
I'm one of those weird people who's like, oh my God, I miss high school.
Okay. What about she doesn't have a bed frame? Like her mattress is on the floor.
You ghost.
Yeah.
Unless she's really hot. Then you can get away with anything,
Again, I'm you ghosting. I can't. Okay, what about she's a really bad nail biter?
Aw, U-Haul. I pick my nails.
I'm a
sure.
biter.
Yeah.
Always have been. I'm like trying really hard right now. This is the longest my nails have ever been.
I'm the same.
Yeah. It's just like
I love my nail biters.
It's a coping mechanism.
Yeah.
And if that's the worst one you have, then I'm good.
The most interesting people are nail biters. Okay. They have so much to deal with.
They've been through things.
They've been through things.
All right. What about Skrillex is their favorite artist?
You ghost. 1 million %. Never.
Something's wrong with you.
Something's so wrong with you.
You are also stuck in the wrong era.
Yeah.
All right, Zolita, tell everybody what you're working on. I know your album's coming out.
Yes.
Tell us about it. Tell us where everybody can find you.
Yeah. So it's my sophomore album. It's coming out May 31st. I'm really excited. It's called Queen of Hearts. And it's very eclectic, mix of songs. There are some things that are about some really dark topics, and then there are some really fun, light songs. I just put out a song called Small Town Scandal. That's like a line dancing song and super gay and fun. And I just put out a music video for that as well. So yeah, lots of fun stuff. And I'm also going on tour in September and October all over the US. So
We'll be there.
Come see me there.
Yes.
And yeah, you can find everything just at Zolita everywhere.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Last thing we do is a cheers.
A cheers.
What do you want to cheers to?
I want to cheers to Hot Girl Summer for me.
Hot Girl Summer.
And for
you. Okay. Cheers. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Thank y'all for listening to today's episode. As always, help us spread the gay agenda by writing an Apple review, rating us on Spotify, and sharing it with everyone you've ever met. You can find today's guest at Zolita, our show at Made It Out Podcast, and me at Mal Glowinky. Made It Out is produced and edited by Matilde Jordan and worked on solely by lesbians.
When the night gets cold and you're out with your lover, who gets the jacket?